What does it mean to renew your mind? What does it mean to renew your mind? Now, I'm not speaking from the religious perspective. You go to your preacher for that. I am speaking about how to renew your mind. By the renewing of your mind means a paradigm shift. When you change the trajectory in the way that your mind flows. When you change, you just change your mind. We change our mind every day about different things. Right? We change our mind. Sometimes you're looking at someone and you think you're feeling them, and then next moment you change your mind. Or you think you're going to have this to eat, and then you choose another restaurant to go eat something else. You change your mind. Or you go and buy something and get it home, and then you put it on, and you're like, oh, I'm taking it back. You change your mind. All that's considered renewing. All of that is considered renewing your mind for little things, or what may seem insignificant things. But when it comes to renewing the mind for the sake of for changing our lives, we make it so complicated. It becomes complicated. You know? Renewing your mind just simply means changing your mind about something that you believed or you thought. It's just changing a belief that you may have had, or an idea that you may have had, and now you no longer are trusting in that idea or desiring that specific thing anymore. You now had a change of heart. This is what it means to change your mind, to have a renewing of the mind. It changes there's a paradigm shift when you shift your thinking. So, renewing of the mind means changing your mind. Okay? I change the way I feel about this. I change the way I think about that. I choose now to feel this way when I get this sensation. I will no longer perceive this scenario as hurtful. Renewing the mind simply means, again, changing how you perceive. It's changing how you perceive. This from the sensations of the outside world. So, how do we simplify this? How do we make this simple? Because it really is, we do it all the time. We do it all the time. We change our minds, have a change of heart all the time. But now when it comes time to doing it for our lives, to do it for the sake of growth, to do it for the sake of ascension, to do it for the sake of understanding who we are, who is what and who we are. So renewing the mind, how can we simplify this? Every time you think you feel something, when you're aware of it, not every time, because there's thousands of thoughts, and I talked about that in one of my other videos, 50 to 80,000 thoughts. And they say we're only aware of 2 to 10%, depending on how conscious we are. But anyway, when a sensation comes in, and we become aware of it, we can then check ourselves in thinking how I'm going to handle this feeling. And I talked about this in one of my other videos, so it's almost like I'm repeating it. But this is what it takes to renew your thinking. You first must become aware of what you're thinking in order to make the changes. We have to become more aware of how we're perceiving things in order to make the changes. How we're reacting and responding to the external world in order to make the changes internally. We talk to ourselves. We're going to go into the self-talk stuff next time. I mentioned that a little bit, but we talk to ourselves. We argue with ourselves. We're having an internal dialogue all the time. We do it automatically, and many of us speak out loud, which can get some folk in trouble and sent to an institution. And they try to say when you answer yourself, you're really, really, out there. But in reality, we answer ourselves. We argue with ourselves internally. In trying to make sense of things and come up with rational solutions to situations. So in doing so, we come to conclusions. And at that point, we shift our way of seeing things, and we may think of something a little differently from maybe how we used to think about something. Let's talk about real stuff, I love to do this thing because it hits home. You're with someone, you're loving them, you're loving all on them, and then one day you have a change of heart. You don't know why. You come up with all kinds of crazy reasons internally because you do it in your head. You have the argument in your head, and then you come up with the decision, hey, I'm just not into it anymore. Even when you're having the argument outside of yourself with the person that you're arguing with, you already had the argument within yourself. The conflict was already with you. So the conflict was already with you. You just had someone to help participate on the outside. who has their conflict also within themselves. But in reality, still, it helps us to grow through the it helps us to grow through the conflict. Where we can learn and grow through the experience. And of course, the heart changes, it shifts. And what may have served you before is no longer serving you now, or you had to have some kind of conflict in order to move you beyond a comfort zone, so that you can then shift your thinking, have a renewed mind about a decision that you may have felt was working for you in the past that no longer seems to be working for you now and what you perceive to be in your future. So, conflict pushes you to renew your mind. But you can also make a decision to do it without the conflict. If you find yourself falling out of love or out of a relationship that you, maybe it needs to be done with, who knows, but perhaps you have much invested, and you really feel that there's something there that you can make work, then you may choose to work on that within your mind and have a renewed mind in order to continue moving forward in the relationship, or a renewed heart in order to move forward in the relationship. So renewing the mind means being mindful and knowing what you're thinking, what triggers it, how you're feeling about it, your emotions connected to whatever it is, and then making a deliberate decision to shift your mind, to make changes. And that is still a renewed mind that will make different connections. Much love, choice, peace here. Enjoy. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you.